Absolutely.
We will let's start the questioning with Stephen Means from Cleveland.com. Stephen, if you're here.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, go for it.
Hey, Harry. Just kind of evaluate yourself through these first two games as a starter, and just how much did the amount of reps you were able to get last year because of the amount of blowouts maybe kind of speed up your development, if any.
Yeah, those were the reps last year. I think essential to being able to contribute this year. And what was really fun was just being able to also progress between week 1 and week 2, and of course having the company of Josh, Wyatt, Thayer, and Nick is fantastic company to keep, and they help me progress. And of course, our unit is filled with great guys that encourage progress. But definitely, like the reps I got last year were so helpful in just kind of getting used to tempo. Of course, it was later in the game when we had leads, but it was very essential to be able to kind of understand how a game functions at Ohio State versus in high school.
And just a quick follow-up. Are you still taking second team reps at center at all?
Yeah, so I in regards to practice, I usually practice at just left guard.
Okay.
But we have a great, like, again, our underclassmen this year as well are fantastic. And but I snap often just so I'm always ready and reserved if anything happens. But of course, between center and guard, it's a quick switch. Of course, there's a little bit of a learning curve between, but it's always capable to do both.
Thanks.
All righty. Next up, we'll go to Joey Kaufman from the Columbus Dispatch. Joey.
Harry, how did you, when you were making the switch to guard, who did you kind of lean on for advice, and who helped you kind of the most the transition?
Yeah, I would say while at Ohio State, Wyatt Davis. Wyatt was an immense help and sort of a guy to lean on during the off season in regards to technical questions and sort of understanding the game from that position, but also watching Jonah Jackson for a full year. There's possibly no better person to watch than Jonah as well, because he was so incredible, great leader, great dude. He's doing fantastic at Detroit now. So there was no two better guys to learn from than Jonah and Wyatt. And so I was really grateful and thankful for that.
All right. Next we'll go to Austin Ward from Lettermen Row. Austin.
Harry, you said you got better from week 1 to week 2. We know you graded a champion this week. Where did you see that improvement?
I think it's funny because I was talking with Coach Wilson after the game, and he was asking how I thought I played, and I said, really playing against Penn State, it was kind of like the first time I felt like I was playing football rather than like doing assignments or thinking too much. It felt like I was playing football, and that lets you loosen up and make plays. And of course, for me, sometimes it's easy to get in your head, and it's easy to lose yourself in situations, scenarios, predictions, estimations, and instead of just playing football. And when it comes down to it, football just comes down to hit a guy, try not to get hit too hard yourself, and keep your composure, and don't complicate it too much, just play ball. And so I think that was kind of it. And again, learning behind the line we had last year and with the guys we have this year, they kind of gave me the foundation to be able to just play football and not overcomplicate it.
All right. Next up is Patrick Murphy, 247 Sports. Patrick.
Hey, Harry, are you familiar with the guard center guard transitions of Ohio State in the past? Billy Price, Pat Elflein, those guys?
Yeah, those guys, So in coming here, it was especially advertised to me, center, but of course understanding how Billy operated, how Josh operated, how Pat, Michael Jordan, all those guys were sort of operating throughout the interior. And so that was something that I was well prepared for, and I understood. And of course, it's just an opportunity to be able to play football with good dudes, regardless of position. So, but I was definitely aware of the guys before me and their sort of route.
All righty, we'll go next to Andy Anders from Press Pros. Andy.
Yes, you've talked a little bit already about how you improved week 1 to week 2, but looking at the line as a whole, it seemed like you guys were able to get a little more movement off the ball in the running game against Penn State. Can you talk about how you guys as a unit have gelled from week 1 to week 2, knocking that rust off?
Absolutely. Well, I think that's what it comes down to is reps. And Coach Day talked about how, you don't really know what sort of team you have until you have that first game. And of course, for us, it was a first game against a great opponent where we were directly into conference. And so I know for me especially, and I don't want to speak for the other guys, but for me especially significantly playing this time rather than just coming in the fourth quarter, I had to really get my sort of sea legs. And so I think that was just sort of like the natural progression and just building confidence, building sort of you're getting your feet in the ground and being able to work with that. I just think that naturally happened between week 1 and week 2.
We'll go next to Dan Hope from 11 Warriors. Dan.
Hey, Harry, I wanted to ask you, seemed like you had a lot of fun this off season with playing music and doing stuff on social media. Just kind of what inspired you to do all of that?
I don't know. I know for me, like I took a big resolution to read more during quarantine. And so like yesterday we had a day off, and I don't want to talk about perhaps non-football stuff in a football environment, but I really wanted to expand in this offseason. I wanted to expand my understanding of things outside of football because I'm passionate. I have various dreams of, owning a bookstore, sailing across the Atlantic Ocean, doing stuff and traveling. And so that was kind of, and luckily social media, though it can be the sort of a bane towards sincerity and a bane towards authenticity, I wanted to use it as a very natural sort of platform and a natural sort of like a town square of just, I can't really go out and busk on a street corner and play music for, pennies and dimes, but I can kind of go on Twitter and screw around, and some people like it. So it was really fun. I was really happy to do it, and I was glad that people liked it too.
Have you been trying to encourage the other guys to read more with you?
Absolutely. I've been hoping I want to start a sort of book club, and hopefully that can become a sort of thing and share ideas with people. I read the Bhagavad Gita yesterday, which is a central text in Eastern philosophy and Hinduism, and I was like, there's nobody to talk to that I know around here, and so I was kind of asking people I've met through engineering, what their thoughts were, but I've always been looking for people to talk with ideas with.
Thanks, Harry.
All righty, we'll go next to Bill Rabinowitz from the Columbus Dispatch. Bill.
Yeah, Harry. First of all, I'm jealous of you as a guitarist because you're much better. Secondly, where does this kind of Renaissance man kind of stuff come from? Does that come from your parents or your, what is it about your upbringing or you that's caused that?
I don't know. I know my mother did a great job of raising me. My dad did a great job of getting me into music. And then I had such fantastic teachers to get me into literature. And so that kind of molds all these things. But I spent my childhood reading about great thinkers and great men. And it sort of, I think, becomes exponential when you read about musketeers and you read about great men, a 19-year-old who fought in France and he fought in England, and then you read about Jim Hawkins going to Treasure Island, and you read about Ishmael and Captain Ahab looking for Moby Dick, and you read things about great men who are well versed in the world and know many things, and you become sort of jealous. I've done a little bit of traveling, but of course I haven't sailed and gone whale hunting, and I haven't been a musketeer in France. But you read great men, and books make you hold the company of great men and great thinkers, and you have very intimate conversations with the greatest thinkers of human history, and it sort of warrants you to check yourself and to improve yourself, and it kind of just makes you very hungry and very anxious to learn more things because you read the feats and you read the words of great thinkers and you think, what have I done? And it makes you want to be able to share such company as that. And so I think it's very natural that as you look for more, you realize you need to find more, and it sort of never stops. So that's sort of the boat I find myself in.
All righty, we'll go next to Nathan Baird from Cleveland.com. Nathan.
Hey, Harry, I really don't know how to follow some of that. I wanted to ask about Nicholas Petit-Frere. We were talking to Kevin Wilson yesterday, and he was talking about how there's kind of a different sort of glimmer in his eye this year from a competitive standpoint. What have you noticed just about what he's bringing to the field this season?
Absolutely. I love Nick. And of course, it's always very hard. Nick and I were both second team guys, and it's hard to sort of establish a swagger and a confidence, understanding that, you have a role as a second team guy to support the guys in front of you. And so you're not the guy, you're a guy supporting the guys. And so I think Nick stepped into the new role fabulously, and he's fantastic, and I love him, and he does such a great job. And I think he's not, loud, and he's not crass. He's very calm, and he's very he's just great company to have and a great man to have on the line. But I totally see the confidence that he has, and it's very like charming and reassuring to see that in him.
All right, we'll go next to Tim May from Lettermen Row. Tim.
Thank you very much, Mike. I don't know where to start here or end, but I was just wondering, Harry, have you found people or some people or maybe one person on the team, maybe who's not as learned or as well read as you are, but you consider to be a deep thinker, in that regard? I mean, have you run into anybody like that can share sort of your thoughts?
I think strongly. Tommy Eichenberg went with me to Nicaragua this year. And we shared some, and of course you were in Nicaragua when the spring season was getting canceled. Ohio State was getting moved to online. Airports were possibly closing, and so we were down there, and we shared some very intimate moments. But to see him and Tommy as well as an incredibly quiet dude, and many people think that he doesn't have a lot to say, but I think he's incredibly profound, and I think that he's. I always think of a little phrase where a wise man said nothing at all. And, a fool is remembered for what he says, a wise man for what he does not say. And I think Tommy is full of no words that mean very much. And I think that his character, and I just think he's a profound character, and one of my greatest friends that I can always lean on.
And do you feel like you're well situated to take advantage of the name, image, and likeness thing if it ever comes about with NCAA possibly next year?
I hope so. I hope I can get sponsored by Half Price Books or something, or some sort of something like that. That'd be nice.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
All righty. And the last questioner for Harry will be Tony Gerdeman from Buckeye Scoop. Tony.
Harry, you talked. Sounds like the second game things have slowed down for you. Were you surprised at maybe how fast things were in that first game?
Yeah, absolutely. I was like, and again, it's so different because it's even just on game day itself. Last year, it's like you do the warm up, and then you go on the sideline, and the game unfolds before you, and the starters loosen up the defense, and they work through all the tough stuff, and then you can come in later and sort of relieve everybody. But it's very different to go in when it's the first game of a season that potentially wasn't going to happen. Lots of energy, and this is your first sort of rodeo, and so it was very different. But luckily, again, surrounded by great guys, you sort of feel yourself naturally having to keep up the pace. And again, naturally, I think just with more reps, you build more confidence. And but definitely, it was my first experience really starting a collegiate game, and so it was something that I had to learn quickly, naturally in such an environment. But definitely, it was a very new experience, but very grateful to have it.
Thank you.
Well, Harry, I think I speak for everyone when we say we could talk to you all day, but we really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm muted.
All right, we are joined by Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week, Tommy Togiai. We'll start the questioning here. We'll start with Spencer Holbrook from Lettermen Row. Spencer.
Just working on my technique, relying on my technique that I've been coached up on by Coach Jay through my years, just relying on that technique, falling back on that technique whenever I'm in the game. Just always that keeping it in mind and always using it. I mean, yeah, I was surprised at the end of the game, but I mean, just everyone, I think, in the whole D line was getting after the quarterback that whole night, so it was good.
All righty, we'll go next to Dan Hope from 11 Warriors. Dan.
Yeah, Tommy, what is it that goes into that as a defensive tackle that allows you to have that kind of performance as a pass rusher?
I think it starts with the get off. You just always got to have a great get off to get into your pass rush, and then just goes from there. Just give what the O-line gives you. Just go from there. Try to just always have a motor, so you never know which one's going to be pass or run. So you always got to have that get off, and I'll just rely on that.
Thanks, Tom.
All right, we'll go next to Brendan Gulick from Buckeyes Now on Sports Illustrated. Brendan.
Hey, Tommy, I asked Coach Combs of this question yesterday, and I want your take on this as well. This has been a year where everybody's had to be so ready to go at any moment because of all the uncertainty with the virus. You guys have suffered a couple of injuries, this past week, so things have just been really touch and go in a lot of ways. Who has stood out to you as someone who has really put their ego aside on the defensive side of the ball and really bought into the concept of just, hey, I don't care individually what I'm going to accomplish. I want to know what I can do to help the team. Who stands out to you in that way?
I'll probably say Jonathan Cooper and Tuff Borland. Those are two captains on our team that always bring it every day and are unselfish, like you said, just always about the team, always about the defense. And I think as a whole defense, I think we have a lot of guys on our defensive side and offensively that we just have guys that can go out and just want to play for the team, play for the brotherhood, and just lean on each other. They don't care about individual success. They just want to go out and try to get the win.
Thank you.
All righty, next up is Joe Dempsey from Buckeye Sports Bulletin. Joe.
Hey, Tommy. Everybody on the defense has different roles. How would you describe what you bring to the defense?
I think I just bring a high motor, high energy to the defense, try to make plays when I can, try to bring that energy so everyone energy will spread throughout the defense when someone on the D-line can make a play or something like that, especially sacks or something like that. So I just try to bring energy, bring that motor, just try to really drive the defense, try to do the best I can.
All right, next up is Nathan Baird from Cleveland.com. Nathan.
Hey, Tommy, this wasn't one of your many counting stats from the other night, but there was a play where you were the one who was sort of chasing Clifford across the field and angling him out of bounds early. I'm just curious, is that speed just something you naturally have, or is the speed something you've been working on, and how do you do that?
No, yeah, that's something. My speed is I've been working on after my freshman year. I've talked to Coach Mick, talked to our strength staff about trying to really up my speed, try to get faster. And I think it's paying dividends from them in the training room and stuff like that. So,
what sorts of things do you have to do to work on speed at your position?
So probably same thing with stance, and then just the running form and everything like that. I've been incorporated with Coach Mick and all the strength and staff just help me with my running form and things like that.
All right, we'll go next to Austin Ward from Lettermen Row. Austin.
Tommy, what you've seen from Haskell in these last 2 weeks, how high of a level is he playing at next to you there?
I think he's playing at an astounding level. I mean, to come back from what he's been through to play at the level he's playing at right now, it's unbelievable. And like that's one of our guys too. We're gonna need him to step up like he has been this last 2 games, or because we're gonna really need him throughout the year. So I think he's been playing really big.
All righty, we'll go next to Tim May from Lettermen Row. Tim.
Thanks, Mike. Hey, Tommy, we were asking, y'all know I asked you about the sort of the burden may not be the right term, but maybe the doubt about the middle of the defensive line, at least going into the year. Would you guys be able to step up and fill those shoes of Devon and Jay Sean? And I'm just wondering, 2 games in, what would be your answer to people now? Obviously, you guys were extremely active Saturday. What's your sense and confidence now? You were confident then, but what's your sense? Has it gone up?
I still have that same confidence that we had at the start of the year. I know the guys we have in our room and what we're capable of, and I just believe in the guys next to me that we can go out and do something special each night.
Yeah, and who do you think's coming online next? I mean, for you guys, that could be really assert himself. Who's sort of ready to bloom, so to speak?
I think at our end spot, we have a lot of guys that can go off. They're just waiting to go off, like Zach Harrison, Tyreek Smith, or Tyler Friday, or even Javante. So all those guys have a chance. I think in the inside too, Teron it was only his first game last week coming back for not having played football in a long time. So I think just waiting on him. So as he progresses, he's just waiting to have a breakout game as well. So
thanks, man.
Yep.
All righty, we'll go next to Bill Landis from The Athletic. Bill.
Hey, Tommy, after one of your sacks the other night, Haskell, I think, was on the sideline. He came off the field and kind of celebrated with you, and then I saw he tweeted out the picture of that afterward. I'm just wondering what the relationship is like between the two of you guys.
Well, I mean, with me and Haskell, it's always been, really close, both being Polynesian well. So, when I first got on campus my freshman year, he was one of the guys, I spent a lot of time with, just hanging out and stuff like that. So we really created a good, close bond over the years.
And do you see that translate to the field at all when you guys are lined up next to each other out there together?
Yeah, I think it does play a little bit into it. The closer you are to your teammates, the better you'll play with your teammates. So I think that plays a big role. So just that camaraderie and stuff like that will really bode well for us.
All righty, we'll go now to Patrick Murphy from 24/7 Sports. Patrick.
Haskell, obviously the sack stood out for you on the stat sheet, but you guys held Penn State to, I think, 44 rushing yards, kept the quarterback run in check. What went into that interior, the defensive line as a whole, in terms of shutting down the run specifically against Penn State?
Yeah, I know Coach Jay always talks about it each week, like we always got to stop the run first to be able to rush the passer. So if you want to rush the passer, you got to be able to stop the run first. And that's just like what we always created each week. Going into each week, we want to be able to stop the run and then be able to rush the passer after that.
All right, Tommy, appreciate the time today. Thank you very much. And we'll bring up Pete Werner here next. Thank you. No, you're good. All right, we will open up the questions for Pete with Tony Gerdeman from Buckeye Scoop. Tony.
Given everything you did last year and then everything you were asked to do just this past week, is there anything, do you feel comfortable with playing any position, like any linebacker position, doing any of the positions? I know you have to cross train at all 3 linebacker spots and things like that. Are you comfortable doing all of that or anything?
Yeah, I think being the 4th year here at Ohio State, you get to know this defense very well, and because I'm that older veteran guy, I have the feeling that I can play every spot on the field, every position. Although I might be better at some than other, I can play every one, and I think that goes for Tuff and Barron and Justin as well, because we're those older guys, and we have the ability to kind of interchange some guys. So I think that works out in our favor.
Thank you.
All righty, we'll go next to Tim May from Lettermen Row. Tim.
Thanks, Mike. Hey, Pete, I commented to Coach Combs a couple of days ago that the way he was calling the defenses the other night, or the way the defenses were being called, I know a lot goes into that. It seemed almost like a pro flow, almost like an NFL approach. I mean, of you guys able to maybe keep them off guard, throw one pitch, one play, and another pitch the next. And what does it feel like this year playing in that defense? Do you feel that too? I mean, did you feel that the other night that y'all pretty much had an answer for everything they threw at you, so to speak, for the most part?
Yeah, I feel like we had a great game plan going into Penn State, and I credit Coach Combs for that. There is kind of a pro feel to it, and I've talked to him about that, and there is. And that's just him having the knowledge that he has to give us the best look against our opponent. And I feel like we had a really good game plan going into that week, and we utilized that to the best of our ability, and it showed.
Thanks, man.
Yep.
All right, next up is Doug Lamarice, Cleveland.com. Doug.
Pete, can you just maybe take us through sort of your mental progress as a linebacker from when you got here as a young guy? You've played a lot of snaps in this defense. Now you're kind of being asked to do some different things here this season. Just what's that been like for you to get to this point where it feels like you obviously have a pretty good handle of what you're doing out there every snap?
Yeah, I mean, it was a little overwhelming at the start, but I've gotten to the point where I know so much about this defense. So mental preparation is not anything at a high as compared to it was. Now it's just about getting the game plan and going from there, just because of the knowledge I've gained from this game, and that obviously happens through reps and everything that I've had. So yeah, just because I've had so many reps and the knowledge I've learned from this game, that's obviously going to contribute.
And then I wanted to ask you about your physical progress too. A year ago when I saw you, I said your neck looked big. You are now someone in this linebacker spot. You've got to have speed, but you've got to be physical. Where do you feel like you've are on that balance, right, of where you want to be size-wise and speed-wise, and what's that progress been like for you?
Yeah, so I really focused this offseason trying to get at the right weight, strength, everything like that, and I felt like I've done a great job. Now, part of the being in the in-season grind is to maintain your weight, maintain your strength, which is obviously not going to happen just because all the hits you're taking on, everything like that, and just we can't lift like we used to. But you still try to. You still try to get as much rehab as possible. But your physicality throughout the season is not going to be as high as it was from the first game. But your technique is up. So there's going to be a little mix in there to make you a better player. But as far as my physical body, I feel like I'm at a good spot right now. I just need to maintain and keep my strength, keep weight up, and everything like that.
All right, we'll go next to Spencer Holbrook from Lettermen Row. Spencer.
Yeah, that's obviously one of the issues that we've seen from our defense. So a lot of teams try to do that, and that's a tough spot. So it's very hard. It's very hard for us, and they showed it a lot. And yeah, we did take responsibility, and we thought that we played it very well past Saturday.
All right, next up is Bill Rabinowitz from the Columbus Dispatch. Bill.
Yes, Pete. Obviously, Penn State was a challenge. You're now facing a stretch of the schedule in which you're going to be prohibitive favorites. Ryan Day, Coach Day, yesterday talked about the having to fight against complacency. Could you just kind of address that and how important it is for you guys to kind of keep your eye on the ball?
Yeah, so the teams that we're playing upcoming, yeah, we might be favorites, but I respect the hell out of these teams. I mean, we're talking about one of the best running backs in the Big Ten we're about to face. A quarterback is a very tough guy, really good receivers, O-line is solid. Teams that could make us it could be a dogfight at some points. And But then again, we got to stay on the right track. We got to keep going and keep coming out like we did against Penn State. We got to keep that same energy. And although it might not feel like we can have that energy with 110,000 fans in the stands, we got to have that. We got to have that feeling. We got to have that energy, and we can't be complacent with anything.
Thanks, Pete.
Yep.
All righty, we'll go next to Brendan Gulick from Buckeyes Now on Sports Illustrated. Brendan.
Hey, Pete. Man, this is kind of a heavy time right now. There's an awful lot going on. It was obviously a crazy summer. You know, at one point, you guys didn't know if you were going to play. All the stuff going on with COVID. Social media can be a tough place. I just feel like there's this heaviness right now in our world, and there's a ton of intensity and focus around the program. I'm just wondering, man, how do you guys try to have fun? How do you try to stay a little bit loose and a little bit lighthearted and enjoy the fact that you are playing when there are games elsewhere in the conference that have been canceled, and ways that you can, look back on this eventually and say, hey, man, I really did have fun when I was a senior.
Yeah. So you talk about all this going on. I mean, it obviously is hard to try to find those little fun moments anywhere you can get them. But I like to say during the football season, everybody's always talking about you guys don't have fun. Well, if you play well, you do have fun. So as long as we keep playing well and doing our assignments, that's fun to me. And I like competing. I like winning games. I like to be on top. So that's fun to me.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go next to Patrick Murphy from 247. Patrick.
Pete, I just asked Tommy about this, but holding Penn State to 44 rushing yards or whatever it was, how big of an accomplishment was that? Everything else that happened that night, but how big of an accomplishment was that when you guys saw the stat sheet and saw where they ended up rushing yards wise?
Yeah, it was definitely not in their game plan to only rush for 44 yards and throw the ball as much as they did. So I think it's obviously great. Our coaches always mention stop the run, and then we'll take care of everything else. You could see it from the start of the game. They couldn't really get it going with the run game. So come out the second half and try to throw some RPO things in there, taking some shots and just throwing the ball. But knowing that we can stop the run from a defensive perspective really eliminates that whole side of their game plan. So it's what our coaches talk about all the time. Stopping the run is a key advantage.
And you mentioned the Penn State adjustments. When you see a team come out after halftime and completely change, go away from the run for the most part, is there a sense of pride in what you've accomplished?
Yes, it is. But there's also a sense where you gotta get your shit going. You gotta figure out the new game plan. You gotta roll.
I've got time for two more questioners. We'll go with Bill Landis from The Athletic. Bill.
Hey, Pete, before the season, we talked with you about some of the different things you have to do playing in the box now. I'm wondering how fun it is to be the guy that kind of blitz the A gap and blow up the running back. And I guess, what's your mindset when you're doing something like that?
I don't think it's really my mindset to go up and blow the running back up, although it has happened. But, yeah, it's just a different feel. I'm trying to get the hang of it. But I got a good feel now, and that's always a great feeling. But yeah, it's nice being inside the box. You have the ability to make some plays and kind of control the defense. But then again, we put people in the right spot to have the best defense we can. So a lot of versatility in there. So yeah, I'm just going to continue to follow the game plan and keep executing as we go on.
What is the thought process, I guess, when they do get you isolated on the back like that? Obviously, you can overplay it if you try to blow them up on every single play. Is it kind of gamesmanship? You try to set up moves throughout the game, kind of like you would if you were rushing a passer?
Yeah, so it depends on game plan. In that case, I just saw the opportunity to trample the running back, and it worked out in my favor. So if we see different mannerisms of different running backs we see coming up, then I probably won't approach it the same way. But we'll see. Don't know.
All right, and last question to Austin Ward from Lettermen Row. Austin.
Pete, maybe it's just in my imagination. You'll know better, but it just seems like there's a different level of aggressiveness with the way maybe Coach Combs is calling it and everybody else. Like, how different does that feel compared to where you guys were 2 years ago, and it just seemed like kind of static, and you did one thing and tried to do it really well?
Yeah, when you have a bunch of talent and knowledge as far as the defense, you have the ability to do those certain things. And Coach Combs sees that in us. He knows that we all have a great sense of the game. So he's going to hold us at the standard where he can take some risks. He can call certain calls and mix it up to make it hard on the offense. And I think we've done a great job with responding to his playing calling and all the calls in our playbook. But yeah, we're just going to have to continue to execute and follow his plan.
Thanks, man.
Yep.
All right, Pete, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
We'll have Chris Olave here for you momentarily. Good. Yeah, thank you. I think you're unmuted. Yes, you're good. Okay. All right, Chris, thank you very much for joining us today. Appreciate it. We will start the questioning with Kyle Rowland from the Toledo Blade. Kyle.
Hey, Chris, how you doing?
Good. You?
Before Ohio State had offered you and kind of taken an interest in you on the recruiting trail, how much were they even like on your own personal radar? A, just being from California, and B, maybe being a little more of an unheralded recruit.
They weren't on my radar at all. When I first met them, they were coming to see my quarterback, and my coach called me out of class to come catch balls for my quarterback. So that first interaction was with Coach Day, and he told me to come out to a camp in the summer. I wasn't really looking to come out because I wasn't really a big recruit. So he reached out to me again after like my third game, my senior year, and we just kept building from there. And he ended up offering me like mid-season. So.
I mean, did you take like an immediate interest in them, or like was the distance an issue for you at all? Or, I mean, obviously Ohio State's this big time program who's had success. Did you kind of immediately, pursue that and want to play there?
Not at all at first. I mean, I never really thought I was going to get an offer from Ohio State. But it was definitely an interest. Location was tough for me because I'm big on family, but I ended up making the best decision at the end. So.
All righty, we'll go next to Tony Gerdeman from Buckeye Scoop. Tony.
Chris, the way things are going right now, do you feel like the passing game is almost unstoppable?
We feel like we have a lot of targets in the passing game, a lot of threats, and a lot of people that we could depend on in the passing game. That's how we feel like we're unstoppable there. We don't just have 2 or 3 people. We have multiple people we could go to, especially on third down and them deep shots. We could go to multiple people also. So that's where we feel comfortable, and I do feel like we're unstoppable in the passing game.
And then how are you keeping the young guys locked in as well? Maybe not seeing as many snaps as perhaps they expected. How do you keep them locked in during practice and throughout the week?
I mean, we all went through that as freshmen. Not playing much. I know I went through it. Jamison and Garrett went through it. But, I mean, practice is practice. And, we all practicing hard that's what we do here. So that's pretty much how we stay locked in.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Joey Kaufman from the Columbus Dispatch. Joey.
Chris, do you feel your timing this year is better with Justin than it was last year?
Yeah, I feel like it's way better. I mean, I know when the ball is gonna come out. I know he knows my body language. He told me early he knows where I'm going to be. We built that chemistry along this off season. I mean, just throwing a lot, getting those reps, the physical reps at the practice field, and just being able to read each other better. I feel like we're way better from last year, and we just got to keep building on it. So.
Was it just a lot of reps this offseason? Because a lot of the throws he hits you on are high difficulty passes. They're not normally ones where you'd have this amazing timing typically.
Yeah. It all comes together at the end. I feel like he trusts me and I trust him. So when he see me one-on-one, he could trust me with throwing that ball up and put it in a good spot for me to make a play on it. But in the routine and the routine passes, those got to be routine, and we got to capitalize on those. But on the contested catches, I got to make a play for him and make a play for the team.
All right, we'll go next to Stephen Means from Cleveland.com. Stephen.
Chris, kind of along those same lines. Starting off with, how do you and Garrett, one of you being outside and one of you being inside? I know Garrett can move outside as well, but for the most part, he's in the slot and you're outside. How do you two kind of complement each other, and how is I guess Justin take advantage of that within games?
I feel like me and Garrett are a good duo. Garrett get a lot of targets in the slot, and if they want to bracket him in the slot, then you got me on the outside, or you got Rutgers on the outside, or you got Jamison on the other side. But if they double me, then you got Garrett underneath, or running slants, or running a corner route. So I feel like they got to stay true. They got to stay true to both of us, and they can't just focus on one of us. So.
And when you guys weren't here, when you guys had to go home, I guess what was the communication like with you two, especially with Justin, as you guys are still trying to build chemistry and build a rapport, even if you can't necessarily rep it on the field at that time?
We were just trying to stay in shape and just trying to be the best, attack every day, and just try to be the best for ourselves. I mean, we knew we were going to get together, but we didn't know when. So we just wanted to keep working out and just keep trying to be the best.
All right, we got a bunch of hands still raised, so let's keep it to one question. We will go next to Brendan Gulick from Buckeyes Now on Sports Illustrated.
Hey, Chris, thanks for the time with us this afternoon, man. I want to build off what you had answered Kyle's question earlier about, being from California, man. You're a long way from home. Your family's a long way from you, and Ohio State, you said, wasn't initially, sort of on your radar. So I'm hoping you can give us a little perspective on how this whole thing sort of came together for you, and when you realized that you fell in love with this place, even though there's all this history and tradition here, and frankly, how you've been able to make it work with your family, because you mentioned you're awfully close with them.
I grew up watching Pac-12 ball. I was a big Oregon fan when Chip Kelly was there, and they're one of the best programs in the country. So I remember that 2014 national championship game, and Ohio State beat Oregon in the championship game. And I didn't really know who Ohio State was until that day. And in college, in high school, Ohio State always been one of the top programs in the country. And when they came to my school, I never thought they would offer me, or I never thought I would be here. So when they ended up offering me, it was one of my first big offers, and then that's when everybody started following. After the Ohio State offer, the Pac-12 started offering me. The big time schools in the Pac-12 started offering me, but I always wondered why the Pac-12 wasn't first. And me and Coach Day, and we built that relationship. He built that relationship with my family, but he always was honest with me throughout the whole recruiting process. And when I visited Ohio State in November for the Michigan State game, it felt like home. But it was so far away, so I waited it out and tried to visit some Pac-12 schools. But I always felt like this was home, and I ended up committed the week before the second signing day, and it was the best decision I ever made. So.
All right, we'll go next to Bill Rabinowitz from the Columbus Dispatch. Bill.
Hi, Chris. How sure were you last week that you'd be able to play? I mean, obviously you got dinged up against Nebraska. If there's any light you can shed on what happened and your recovery process.
It was never a doubt I was gonna play. I was good when I got back to the sideline on that Saturday against Nebraska. It was just a good little hit, a good football play, but yeah, it was never a doubt throughout the week. I mean, I communicated with the trainers, I communicated with the coaches, and I was fine throughout the week.
All right, thanks, Chris.
All righty, next up, we will go with Austin Ward, Lettermen Row. Austin.
Chris, it seems like there's been a lot more conversation about your block on Saturday night than the touchdowns. Is it possible that you can take more pride in throwing a good block than scoring a touchdown, or how does that strike you?
My freshman year, we had a lot of good blockers in the room. Learned from Terry and Paris and Johnny and Austin Mack, and those guys always took pride in their blocking. So that's a big thing in our receiver room, and I'm looking to take more pride in my blocking this year. So
thanks, man.
Okay, next up, let's spend Patrick Murphy 247. Patrick.
Chris, Justin talked a little bit about the deep ball connection he has with you and Garrett. From a receiver standpoint, what goes into catching a deep ball from a guy like Justin, who's obviously pretty accurate with it, but you still have to get open and find the ball? Take us through your perspective on those shots.
Them the shots that we want. Them the shots that I want for sure. The deep ball tracking it comes naturally to me, and that's a blessing to me. But first, I just want to get open. I want to have some separation between me and the DB, and at the end of the day, you just got to make a play. And, that's one of my favorite things in football is be able to make that deep ball and make a big time splash in the game. So, and that's why I'm here.
All right, and last questioner for Chris will be Dan Hope from 11 Warriors. Dan.
Hey, Chris. The other night on the radio, Ryan Day said that you might be the best receiver that he's been around. What does that mean to you to get such high praise from your coach?
That means a lot, especially coming from Coach Day. He's been around a lot of good receivers, guys like Deshaun Jackson. He's been in the NFL a couple years, and it's definitely a blessing to hear that. And coming from one of the best coaches in the country, I don't even got words for that. So
what do you think you've done to kind of put yourself in that position?
I just kept my head down and kept working. I mean, from my freshman year to now, I feel like I've developed a lot. I've learned from guys like Terry and Paris and Johnny that winning doesn't come on Saturdays; it comes throughout the week. And I learned that I feel like I go out there and practice hard every day. I don't give it up. I don't give my all just on Saturdays. I give them all throughout the week. And I'm just trying to set that example and set that standard for the younger guys on the team, and hopefully they could bring it up and show some other people.
Thanks, Chris.
All right, Chris. Thank you very much for your time today. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys. Have a good day.
All right, guys, we're going to finish up today with Master Teague, and we're going to have to make this one really quick. So this is really a one and done. Or else it's going to be like 2 questions and done.
I just got 3 quickies.
Hey, I resemble that remark.
In the name of safety, can we also agree as a beat to limit the number of questions from people actively driving in an automobile?
I was parked right outside the polling station yesterday, and the reason I wasn't in line is because I didn't know how fast the line would go. So I went and voted after I asked my questions.
Kyle Rowland was going
don't get all your
55 on the
facts from
highway.
don't get all your facts from Kevin Wilson. That's all.
All right, we're going to spend about 5 good minutes with Master Teague here, and we will start the questioning with Stephen Means from Cleveland.com.
Hey, Master, when we talked to Coach Alford, he talked about how the season would have actually started on time the way it would have normally started, that maybe you would have needed a little bit more time just to get fully healthy. So my question is, how did you feel after the Nebraska game, and then how did you feel going into the Penn State game? And, afterward, how are you feeling physically?
I'm feeling good, no worries. Yeah, there may have been some complications before, the season, but I think, those last 2 games I've been feeling good, no worries, I've been doing full practicing and just, preparing each game, and really no worries, no struggles, no concerns right now.
Thanks.
And we're going to go next to Bill Rabinowitz from the Columbus Dispatch. Bill.
Master, how would you assess the way you've played so far?
Just improving every week. The first week was a little bit of a struggle, I think. I don't know if it's because of the long time we've had, the break and just different circumstances, but, I feel like I did a lot better second game around. Still got a lot of things I want to improve on, and I think I will each and every week and continue to grow. So, like the first week I said, I didn't really I wasn't too fond of my performance then, but, I'm more proud of what I did this past week, but still, hungry to do even more.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we will go to Austin Ward from Lettermen Row. Austin.
Master, you are just running over some dudes at the goal line for these first 2 weeks. What is your mindset in those situations when you're attacking the hole and trying to get in that end zone?
Really, I just see the goal line. I mean, it's right there. It's hard to not to get in there. It's right there. Like, I'm about to get in there. It's an inch away or whatever. So I kind of just force my way in there. I don't know exactly, a real the serious thought process behind it. Just, it's so close that I can't do nothing but get in. So.
All right, we'll go next to Tony Gerdeman, Buckeye Scoop. Tony.
Master, back in 2018, he had issues in terms of wanting to hit a home run every time while he was splitting carries with Mike Weber, and he felt that played into maybe not his best season. How do you battle that with splitting carries with Trey to make sure you're not trying to do too much with your series?
I think, whatever the situation is, I'm going to find a way to perform. I believe that, my preparation each week and just really trusting the Lord that he's going to help me through whatever, the situation is. It's best for the team to perform in a way that's going to help the team to win. So, that's what I want to do. And, whatever that looks like, I'm willing to do it. And so, but like I said, it is hard to kind of sometimes, get in the groove with that. But I think I'll fare well. And, I'm not sure how things will be, moving forward in the season later on. It might be some shifts or changes as far as that concerned. But, I still feel confident that I'll be able to perform the way I need to.
Thank you.
All right, next we will go to Joe Dempsey from Buckeye Sports Bulletin. Joe.
Hey, Master. You came in with Tommy Togiai in the same class, and he really had a breakout game this week. Just how have you seen him develop over your 3 years together?
Oh, man, this dude, probably the strongest person I've ever seen, and, ever since freshman year, I knew he was special, he's real special, just his work ethic, and, he doesn't say much, but, he grinds out and he works hard, and it's not a surprise to see that happen, because you see it in how he works and in practice and just everything he does. So I'm very happy, excited for him.
Thank you.
All right, I got time for two more. We'll go first with Tim May and then with Brendan Gulick. So, Tim, you're up.
Thank you very much, Mike. Hey, Master, how much clearer were things to see on Saturday night over at Penn State from the standpoint of the offensive line play? What did you see from an improvement from the group in front of you, if you follow my drift?
I think, like I said, each week to week, I think we're getting better. So first week was kind of a little rusty on everybody's part. Even though we had a great win, I think we all could have played better. And like I said, I think we improved this past weekend, and I think it was a lot better. My vision was a lot better. Holes were a little bigger for me. So, I just, thank you to my O line and everything they've done to put in the work. And, as they continue to get better, I plan to continue to grow and get better and, make sure I'm reading my keys right and hitting the right holes and bursting through. So, like I said, I thought we did a lot better this past weekend, but plan on to continue to improve.
Thanks, man.
All righty, last question for today goes to Brendan Gulick. Brendan.
Master, I realize you're not the only one that's gone through it, but you're the most recent one to have gone through it with the Achilles injury. Have you talked with Cam Brown? And if so, how's he doing? And what were some of the things maybe you were able to kind of tell him about what you went through?
I hadn't said too much to him, but the brief moments that we had, I didn't really know what had happened, so I got clarity on that. And but through the process, I'm gonna be keeping up with him, and I just told him, we're not really sure why some things happen in life, but it's definitely a time you can grow, a time that he can really reflect and grow just as a person. We never want to go through some of the things that we go through, but it's all, it's going to work out for the good if we look at it in that way. So definitely it's going to be a challenge, but I think, he's a tough kid. He works hard, and I think he's going to be determined to do all he can to get healthy. And we got some great guys here to help me, Stu, helps us, everybody that's injured or, got dings and bruises here and there. to get right. So I think he's going to be in good hands.
All righty, Master. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time today. Have a good practice.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
All right, everyone.